Number 4, color commentaries about the discussion or your plight will be met with severe contempt and a mute. If there's a second violation, I'll serve or deafen your dumbass and you'll forfeit the debate. Number 5, no interruptions from the audience will be tolerated. If I hear a peep from anyone other than the two principals, Jedi and Ballistick75, I'll mute your dumbass immediately. You each have 3 objections. If someone states a fallacy or something incorrect, you immediately object. I will stop the debate. We will hear your objection. If your objection is validated, you will keep your objections and we'll move on with your point, spearheading it. If your objection is fallacious itself or weak, I'll take one of your objections away. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Here we go. The debate is Jedi.
We're talking about the difference between naturally observed phenomena. At the moment, the contention was what is a naturally observed phenomena. Stated earlier, you can look at a computer and it is now naturally observed, part of the physical and natural world. That's what you stated, Ballistics.
Yeah, no, he asked what the topic was. I'm just waiting for the go-ahead.
Okay. Let's go.
All right, perfect. So, the importance of this conversation is that it would strengthen future debates. When I was talking to Nathan, you realized that I said I witnessed something in the sky, and it's naturally, like, I'm witnessing it naturally with my eyes. And he said that something along the lines, I'm
Objection.
Right.
Objection.
Okay.
Naturally with your eyes.
Objection, please. What's the
Sorry,
objection?
naturally with your eyes. Of course, you're going to be looking at things naturally with your eyes, unless it's going to be a technological advice. But all observations you're going to be looking at. So they're going to be natural from this point. They're not part of the physical and natural world. They're part of your observation. They're you observing it. Carry on.
Okay. What if I was using binoculars? And I'm using technology. So, moving on with the argument. I'm mostly saying that if a computer can be seen in the real world, right, it's part of the real world. Just like as a satellite can be seen, it's actually part of the real world.
Okay. The contention here is that part of the natural world or is it man-made? If it is man-made, it is outside of science because science is only interested in the physical and natural world. The cause and effect relationships within the physical and natural world, more specifically, not what man has made. This would be kind of supernatural, right? And technology, those types of things. So if you want to draw it back and you want to point that we've got mobile phones, then the Earth must be a ball. That's not true. If you want to point out that we've got other technology and satellites that exist, and you're just confirming or reaffirming and reifying the story based on an observation that you say that you can make based on the prediction of this technology in the sky. It's not science by any realms of the imagination. We're not doing science here just because we can naturally observe it. We're just observing technology. So observing a computer is not doing science. Making an observation of anything is not doing science. If you're making an observation in science, the observation... Go on.
False dichotomy. You're saying that just because a computer is not part of the natural world, we cannot use it for science.
No, you are not doing science when you look at a computer.
Hold on. The moderator is supposed to listen to it and then move on, right?
Was there an objection?
There was.
I didn't hear objection.
He said objection. False dichotomy, and he was allowing Jedi to rebuttal it. Are you going to rebuttal it or define your fallacy first?
I was trying to just follow the rules. So I made an objection.
Did you?
I did say objection.
No, you didn't.
So, objection. I listened to it. Do you want to state your objection again? Sorry.
Yeah,
do you just want to state it
I'm
again?
sorry, everyone shut up. There was an objection. I did not hear objection. No problem. What is your objection?
False dichotomy.
False dichotomy. Let me write it down. False dichotomy. What's the false dichotomy?
Just because a computer is not part of the natural world, we can't use it for science.
Just because the computer's not in... Where's the dichotomy?
He's saying that because a computer is not part of the natural world, it therefore cannot be used for science. It's a black and white dichotomy that is false.
No, there is no
I
dichotomy. Hold on.
object-
Jedi. Hold
Sorry,
on 1 second.
he's building a fucking straw man. It's annoying.
Yeah, he
I'm
is.
not
I'll
building-
take care of it. I'll evaluate the dichotomy. Number one, there is no dichotomy here. Number two, the naturally observed phenomena must be natural, not how you view it. So, a computer, that would be your dependent variable in this scenario, correct?
Sure.
So, the effect dependent variable, what's the cause of computers?
Well, I have no idea what we're talking about right now.
What is the effect? What is the cause of the effect computers?
I didn't never made a hypothesis.
My word.
This is how I addressed you. Computers are man-made. Right, man-made computer. We're observing the natural world. What's in nature caused something else in nature to happen. You looking at a computer, not using a computer. You looking at a computer was your kind of doing science, observational science. I can look at a computer, it is technology. Therefore, I can look at man-made technology in space and claim I'm doing science. You're not. You're just making an observation. Technology. You don't understand the words that you're using.
Hold on.
Okay?
Hold on.
Logical fallacy. Observations are part of testing science.
Hold on 1 second. You said objection the first time you said a false dichotomy. That was an error. It wasn't a false dichotomy. Now you only have 2 objections left, and you just objected again. What is your objection?
Logical fallacy.
Logical. You're going to have to be a little bit more specific.
I don't know all the categories of it.
Formulate it.
I can just tell you. You were saying that observations, right, are not part of science, and observations are one of the ground principles
Incorrect.
of performance.
He did not say that. Stop. He did not say observations are not part of science. He did not say that. Words didn't come out of his mouth.
They did.
No, they didn't.
Okay.
So, do you want to take back that objection and move on?
Sure.
Okay. Go ahead.
Got any main reason?
You're conflating in terms of looking at something and that being part of science, not wholly and encompassing science just by looking at something, but looking at something being the first step in the scientific method. But you're looking for something very specific. That would be something happening, because ultimately in science you're trying to prove the cause of that something happening. This is why you start formulating independent variables, because you're going to want to start testing what's happened in a minute, and that would be called a hypothesis. You're then going to test about a hypothesis. That will be an experiment, and this is what we do when we do science. You looking at a computer, you looking at a satellite is not doing an experiment, so therefore not doing science. You're just looking at something. Just looking.
So you're saying that pure observations cannot be used to
not be
understand the world around us?
They are right. Are we doing science or not? Because we can make observations and record
Let's
time.
define science together. Can you show me a citation that shows science is only concerned with the natural world, and that
science is only involved in the natural world?
Right.
Natural science is in the
disagree with
definition
that.
of natural science. How can natural science not be involved in the natural
you said
world?
science. You didn't say natural science. You said science.
Okay, then what science? We're talking about
so
what? Studying the world,
Let's find it.
gathering knowledge.
So science, and I can cite this
A method.
if you want.
Like the word method.
Here's science.
Go on then. Let's go.
Yeah, no problem. Science, an intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of structure and behavior of the physical natural world through observation and experimentation, right? However, it also means the systematically organized body of knowledge of a particular subject, right? There are particular areas of science, and knowledge of any kind are all definitions of science, right? We have to use all 4 definitions when we describe science. Knowledge of how a computer works, therefore, can be used. Therefore, is science. Even though computer chips are not found in nature, knowledge on how they work and their interactions, right, can be described as scientific knowledge.
To rebuke this.
Yeah, no problem. Part of the definition of science is knowledge of any kind. Having the knowledge of how a computer chip works is considered
Knowledge
science.
Okay. I mean, you have to think about the words you're reading. Knowledge of any kind is doing science, right?
Never said doing science. I said what science is.
Okay. So how do we do science then?
Good question. Let's see.
Well, I don't know. Is there a method we can follow?
There is a scientific method, yes.
Cool. So if we look into, let's say, figure out what the cause of something is, would be a good idea that if that cause is in the physical and natural world, that we should use a scientific method which is specific for things that happen in the physical and natural world. The
Sure.
hypothesis is a supposition; it's logically reduced.
All right, so let me look up the scientific method real quick with you. All right, so let's look at this right here. Okay, I have analyzed this. You're telling me that this scientific method cannot be used to describe an orbit.
Scientific methods cannot be described. No, I mean you could suppose based on reification of what this is going on within the model that gravity is the cause of the effect things going round, but you wouldn't be able to physically demonstrate that here on Earth, which was asked by Nathan earlier. Can you scientifically verify this? Orbits in Earth demonstrate balls going around balls because of gravity here on Earth. Scientifically, no, you can't. You can't demonstrate that. So again, you're just going to be reaffirming your story.
Well, here,
satellites. All right.
Oh no,
you see satellites. You see satellites. Where are satellites? Where are satellites? I asked you this like 3 hours ago. Where are they?
Or make some
different. That in what does that mean? Circular path or reified around an R value of the Earth. You're making a declaration. Where are they? In the sky? What are they swimming? They're like boats.
We actually do have satellites in the ocean. So yes, they can be anywhere. It's a measurement tool, but
okay, we can have satellites in water.
Yes.
We can have things flying in gas. Aeroplanes. Where's the satellite?
Right. So satellites, by definition, orbit celestial bodies, but we can have devices that are miscalled satellites that are in water and low atmosphere.
Low atmosphere. Low atmosphere. So in space, low atmosphere, when you've got sphere in the name, so circle of gas. I don't understand what you're saying. What space? Low atmosphere. Well, not a lot of gas.
Oh, right. So satellite, I can define it. So satellites are going to be satellites will be, if they're not being used, because obviously we have satellites on the ground that have been dismantled or made for whatever reason. Satellites are going to be above 65 miles above the surface of the Earth.
Well, even the ones that they say fly out to Mars and to the moon and stuff, even these ones. Like outer planetary probes, those ones. Those satellites that they've got around other planets, those ones as well.
All right. Satellites will be greater at a distance greater than at least 65 miles off the surface of the Earth.
Right, so there's gas everywhere then?
Is there gas everywhere?
I
I
don't
don't
understand
recall
what
saying that
space is. So there's no gas there in space.
There's some gas. Depends. Well, what's your definition of space? At what limit does our atmosphere
This is
end?
what I'm trying. This is what I'm trying to ask you.
Okay.
What space?
Space is when.
Space is when?
Okay, hold on. I'm thinking. I would say a good definition of space would be when there's no more atmospheric pressure.
No. So there's no gas pressure in space. So how do we have gas pressure here on Earth?
Well, you can go with your definition of a. I'm not going to assume that's actually incorrect. I take that back. My model says that there are particulates in the air, such as molecules, dust, various gases that are trying to find an equal diffusion rate, and gravity has held them in, and that creates a gaseous barrier.
So you're saying that because the Earth is big, it pulls all things of mass towards it, even
Towards
things towards the Earth, center of mass, however you want to term it. You also want to claim this for gas. Gas doesn't observably do this. Gas is omnidirectional as a vector of everywhere, right? That's what it does. You're saying it's now got a vector of down, which means it gets to a limit and stops. So can you demonstrate gas getting further away from an object? And because that object is big, the gas stops going away from it. Because the only demonstration to stop gas going in a direction is to have something in the fucking way of it. Then for all of the gas to press on, then within a contained environment you get gas pressure. Increase the size of the container, you reduce the gas pressure until you inject more gas into it and increase the pressure. You can keep this relationship going until you remove the container. And then the gas is free to go everywhere because in every demonstration so far, right, container was required.
I understand what you're saying.
So you don't have an observed phenomena even to base this on. Just a reification of what you think's going on because you think the Earth is a ball and the gas stops going into space.
Jedi, hold on. You are assuming that there are not other factors acting on the gas.
Can you show me them? I've asked you for a demonstration of it.
Of diffusion?
No, gas going away from an object because the object is big. It stops. In fact, have a vacuum chamber and insert some gas into it. In actual fact, answer this question. Do you have a vacuum chamber with a molecule of gas in that vacuum chamber? Where's the molecule of gas?
Do I have one? No.
Where's the molecule of gas in the vacuum chamber? Theorize for me. Where is it?
All right. It would be everywhere.
Right, so not attracted to the mass of the Earth then, not on the floor. In the container. Depending on how big the container is, the gas is going to be somewhere in that container. Right?
You're not.
Remove the container. What's keeping the gas to any surface, doesn't matter how big that one remaining surface, ball surface is.
You bring up a good point, but you are grossly overlooking the other forces that can act on gas, such as static, right, and diffusion rates. There are a lot of other principles that when you dismiss, allow for you to reach this conclusion. Yeah, you're dismissing the idea of diffusion.
No, I've asked you clearly, very clear questions. How you keep gas from fucking off without a physical barrier? Into an available space.
Gravity is how we do that. Yeah.
Okay, can you define gravity for me then, please? And then can you scientifically verify it? And then with what you've proven, can you demonstrate this gravity being the necessary antecedent to gas pressure, where in the first instance and all instances it's a physical barrier that stops the gas going away?
I can attempt. That seems like a loaded question, but sure. Do you want my definition of gravity or Google's definition of gravity?
I want the scientific, verified definition, hypothesis, and experiment for gravity.
Well, let me
I
answer your
want
first
it from
question,
fucking
which is
proven.
what is gravity? Gravity, the force that attracts a body towards the center of the Earth or towards any other physical body having mass.
So, would that be mass attracts mass?
Yes.
So, not the current scientific rhetoric for what gravity is. They had to move away from this idea because they scientifically couldn't prove it. Newton himself offered no hypothesis for it.
Can you cite your evidence that shows they can't scientifically prove mass attracts mass?
Can you give me a scientific experiment?
Well, you
that
made the
proves
claim,
mass attracts?
Jedi. You made the
Yeah,
claim.
and it would be based on you giving me one. So, is there one?
Jedi, you made
This is
claim.
entirely. This is
Hey,
burden of proof reversal.
Vetra. That'll be about enough. You do it again, I will mute and deafen you. You understand me? Jedi and Ballistick75 only. Go.
Move the conversation along. If you're looking for me to go and post something that verifies what I'm saying, then no, I can't do that. But what I can ask you for is for a scientific experiment that proves this, which was my question in the first place. Because ultimately, we're going to get down to proving it. Can you prove it?
And I can prove gravity, right, through the orbit of a satellite.
No, that would be proving a model.
No, because we actually have satellites that circle the Earth, and they're able to do this.
No, because the contention is where they are at the moment. At the moment, you can only verify gravity and say this is what it does to give me the medium of space and gas pressure here on Earth. I'm asking you for scientific proof of it and then a demonstration of what it is claimed to be doing in this instance.
All right, so I believe you're making a fallacy. I can't define which one.
Asking for experiment to back your claim.
Hold on, Jedi.
Objection.
Objection on the table.
I don't think he even knows what he's talking about half the time when he comes out of these words. I'm not making a fallacy when asking you a very direct question, which is, can you back your claim? It's been my question for the last 5 minutes. For gravity, don't care which one it is. I need the hypothesis experiment, and then when it's been proven, I need the demonstration of it being the cause of gas pressure, as in stopping gas from going away, as in gas not dispersing into an available space, as thermodynamic law would fucking dictate. That's what we require here, scientific evidence. Have you got any?
You must comply. That's not a fallacy asking for scientific evidence.
Okay. All I was trying to refute is that reverse engineering counts as a way of testing causes. Right? Let me finish. We know we have brains not because we look at them, but because we can talk, speak, and move.
Let me finish. Give me maths?
I'm getting there. Right? So I can use my satellite to prove gravity. If I can say that you have a brain because you can talk to me in the nice conversation we're having, then I can use a satellite to prove that there's gravity. It's a form.
No, you can't.
Yes, it is.
No, because you can literally just say, because I've got mobile phones or toasters, the Earth must be a ball because of technology. And you verify this kind of concept of satellites and information because satellites give us information, right? We pointed out to you about 3 hours that there's a lot of technology before we get to this medium of space that necessitates satellites doing the magic that they fucking do. We're requiring evidence for the existence of this medium that the Earth is said to be travelling through. Because we're not travelling through gases, which what they don't claim. We're not travelling through water or fluid. We're travelling through a vacuum. So how do we have gas pressure here on Earth? But every demonstration, when demonstrated, gas not going into an available space requires a barrier between the two fucking mediums, where the gas is and where the gas isn't. You want to stop gas being in that place, you physically stop it. You open the door, the gas goes into that space. You don't have an observed phenomenon.
All right, that's an objection. It's an appeal to ignorance.
Objection on the table. What is an appeal to ignorance?
Appeal to anytime ignorance is used as a major premise in the support of an argument is liable to be fallacious.
I already know what an appeal to ignorance
I thought you were asking.
shut up. I already know what an appeal to ignorance fallacy is. How did he employ it?
Just because we cannot see gravity, that means it does not exist.
No, that's not a fallacy. That's
It's
bullshit.
It's literally cited on
No,
this
it's
as
not.
the example.
He asked you for scientific evidence. We're waiting for the scientific evidence of your claim.
Okay. But so here's my issue, Jedi, is that
You got one objection left, by the way, because you just employed 2 fallacious objections. You got one left. I would use it wisely.
okay. You were telling me that because I cannot prove gravity, it doesn't exist, right? And I'm telling you that I can through my testing of a satellite. And then you're saying because I cannot verify the satellite or because you assume that it's not real because of the communication that can be performed by a helium balloon, that my entire argument.
Man and a half. What are you going on about?
I'm saying that
I clearly stated this. What are you talking about? Bringing up balloons and all this shit again?
There's no way for me to continue this argument if you're not going to allow me to show you right through my evidence of how I can prove gravity, even though it might be reverse engineering. Then I have no way. There's no way to naturally observe gravity. And here's the funny thing, right? You can't naturally tell me how high you are above sea level at the moment. I know you're not in the sea because I hear you on the mic. So you use a measurement, you use a tool, right? Your tool can tell you how high you are above sea level. We are allowed to use tools and devices to describe our physical characteristics of the universe. You're not allowed to just dismiss every tool and observation regardless of your belief in it.
My belief would be my belief would be natural law, as in akin to something that always happens. As in, gas always disperses into spaces. Right, that's what gas does. The only way to physically stop it is with a barrier. That's what the claim is with the Earth being a ball in space. No barrier, just an idea that gravity pulls all this gas back towards the Earth for some apparent reason. Whilst the Earth is spinning underneath and travelling in a direction. But we'll leave that bit out. Because you still don't have the observed phenomena of gas stopping going away from the object because the object it is behind or in front of or going away from is big. The only way to stop gas going in a direction is to stop it physically. Something physically has to stop the gas. Not the thing that it left. Not the thing it's over. Not the thing that's behind it. Even if that thing is big, like the Earth.
All right, let's do things. First of all, let's define space. Is space a vacuum?
Vacuum, I don't even think. Vacuum is the avoidance of anything, isn't it? We're going to start talking about gradients of vacuums, aren't we?
No, we're not. I just wanted to make sure we didn't both believe that space is sucking like a vacuum cleaner.
No, vacuums don't suck. Yeah, the energy comes from the gas.
Right, perfect. Okay, you're saying without a physical barrier, we cannot change the properties of a gas, like where the direction of a gas is going, right?
No, I'm saying that gas is omnidirectional. If it's going in a particular direction or stop going in a direction, it could be for many reasons. It could be pressure differential, it could be heat and temperature differential. But if you want to have gas in a place, you have to physically stop it from going into any other place.
Right, and that's how the Earth works. We, just like you said, we have heat and pressure differentials in the ranges of our atmosphere. We have gravitational pull. We have several forward.
Gravitational pull. So, gravity pulling the gas.
Yes.
Is gas mass?
Gas has mass.
What's mass? What's mass?
All right. Mass is the weight of something in that gravitational
Weight.
That's
a vector.
Whoa. All right, fine. Mass, right, is
a vector.
The weight that it's being. How do I say this properly?
It's direction, isn't it?
Mass has no direction. No.
No, gas has lots of directions. All of the
I'm saying
directions.
mass has no direction.
Well, I don't know. You tell me. You
I
said
can tell
weight.
you. I can tell you
You
that
said
mass.
weight.
Right, and I'm saying what mass is. Mass is the. I'm struggling to define it, but mass is like the inherent physical characteristics of an object, right?
The
And weight.
inherent physical characteristics of an object.
Let me get the definition.
What do you mean by the inherent physical? Is it physical, or are you just
Okay, mass
conceptualizing?
is both
Are you
a property,
conceptualizing it?
right?
Is it?
So
Is it a concept?
is it a concept?
Yeah. Is it a convention? Is it like, I don't know, length or weight or division with math?
No, because see, mass stays
Is
the
there an
same.
equation
Mass,
involved?
like your mass stays the same regardless of your the gravity acting upon you, right? So mass
So,
is the sum of the mass is the sum of the body, and weight is going to be the weight is mass times the downwards acceleration of gravity.
so, like I said, down. The gas doesn't go down, does it? It goes everywhere, doesn't it? Not just down.
Right, because there are other forces in our atmosphere. Our atmosphere is also dynamic. Winds, turbulence. These things can also overcome. These things can also overcome the force of gravity. Just like you can jump up in the air, you are overcoming the force of gravity, right? Same concept can be applied to gas.
Same concept can be applied to gas. So the gas is free to move in. The gas is free to move in any and all directions. The only way that you can stop gas moving in any direction is there being something in the way from it stopping going there. If there's nothing there, as in not a solid thing like a rock or a fluid or another gas, that means there's nothing there, an available space for the gas to go into. You're telling me that there's something else stopping the gas, breaking this natural law.
Gas is stopping gas.
Gas is stopping gas. The mass of the gas is stopping the gas.
The weight of the gas is stopping the gas.
Weight, so the direction, the weight from the top, even though the gas has got nothing to press against and is still able to go into space because there's nothing stopping the top of the gas from going into space because all the mass is underneath it.
Yes, the mass. There is gas.
The gas is no.
Let me finish.
No, because you're not going to be able to demonstrate this stuff. You're just trying to reify gas pressure gradients.
I can literally prove that there are satellites. You don't want to accept my evidence.
No, I've seen satellites. All right, I've seen things in the sky that I wouldn't say were planes were moving across the sky. Excuse me, and could be quoted as satellites. Never denied satellites. I'm denying the meaning that these satellites, including the ones that are supposed to be flying around Jupiter at this moment, are said to be in that one called space because we have gas pressure down here. That's why my question is very specific. Scientific experimentation of gravity, then a demonstration of this gravity being a necessary antecedent to gas pressure, and in an object being big, stopping gas going away from it because the object is big, because of the mechanics of what you quote as mass. It's resistance to inertia, the best you can fucking come up with, but you're just talking about inertia. And then you'll start to quantify as the amount of stuff, which will be a mole. But you won't be able to give me the physical attributes, how one thing over here acts on another thing over there, because they're big. You won't be able to physically show me that.
Hold on, I got one for you, right? And this is actually using naturally observed phenomena, which is fun. You can observe stars being born.
Oh, God.
Oh, we can.
Right. So, I want to ask you again. Do you have a scientific experiment that proves gravity? Does this scientific experiment, now that gravity has been proven, come with a demonstration of it being a necessary antecedent to gas pressure?
Demonstrate gravity, which in turn can prove that gravity exists.
Do you have a scientific experiment?
Okay, let's walk through what an experiment is together.
My God, really?
Procedure to test a hypothesis or demonstrate a known fact. So yes,
I'll tell you what, my friend.
demonstrate a
Sorry,
known fact.
hold tight, my friend. We've had this conversation for half an hour. You're not going to be able to give me scientific experiments of gravity. If
I'm
we're going
doing
to
it right
start,
now.
if we are now going to have the conversation of what a scientific experiment is, it's the observation of a phenomena, because we want to ask what caused that. The cause will be the independent variable. The thing that happened will be the dependent variable. We will then test this in an experiment. We've controlled all of our other variables. We will then test it, as I said, and it will either be the cause or won't be the cause of the effect, despite
Jedi,
verifying our
you're
hypothesis.
negating one of the largest facts of an experiment. You can use it to demonstrate a known fact. Experiment can demonstrate something we already know.
Have you got a scientific experiment that proves gravity?
Yeah, I can demonstrate. I have an experiment that can demonstrate that gravity exists. If we subscribe to the heliocentric model, we can say that
No.
Wait, let me finish.
I'm not fucking subscribing to the heliocentric model, begging the question and fucking sitting and listening to your story, and then your story proving your story if gravity fucking exists. No. And in that case, this conversation's done. I've had enough of the panel's time with this conversation, my friend. I do appreciate your time, but you haven't been able to give me a scientific experiment. If you would, had you given me half an hour ago?
Final comment. Hold on. Jedi has halted the discussion. Final comments. Ballistick75.
Oh, I'm first. All right. Thank you, Jedi. That was a wonderful comment. I hope to have a conversation. I hope to have more in the future with you. I hope we can realize that without accepting each other's ability to go past this, what's that dependent and independent variable, we can be very limited in what we can demonstrate. Regardless, I do want to thank yourself and everyone else for being so patient.
Yeah,
Jedi, final comment, sir.
Final comment. No scientific experiment that proves gravity. The definition of a dependent and independent variable, as I've stated at least 4 times. Dependent variable, the thing happening, the effect of the phenomena in nature that you want to prove the cause of. The supposed cause will be the independent variable. You will then say, I don't need to restate this. It's like you never listened. So anyway, no scientific experiment proves gravity. There's no demonstration of gravity being the antecedent to gas pressure.